Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Crizzy here, and in tonight's movie review, I'm going to be doing a movie review on the 2014 movie, Selma. Selma was released on Christmas Day of 2014 in select theaters, and then it was given a wider release the following month in January of 2015. And of course, earlier today, I just got done watching this movie on Paramount Plus earlier today, since today was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I felt like reviewing something Martin Luther King Jr. related that I haven't reviewed yet, and I haven't watched yet until now, like earlier today. And yeah, this review is on Selma. And it goes like this. Although the Civil Rights Act of 1964 legally disintegrated the South, discrimination was still rampant in certain areas, making it very difficult for African Americans to register to vote. In 1965, in Alabama City became the battleground in the fight for suffrage. Yeah. Despite violent opposition, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., played by David Oyelowo, and his followers pressed forward on an epic march from Selma to Montgomery, and their efforts culminated with President Lyndon Johnson signing the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And yeah, we got ourselves a Martin Luther King Jr. biopic released in 2014. And of course, it was also directed by Ava DuVernay, whatever you want to say her name right. Yeah. And of course, like I said, the movie stars David Oyelowo and also starring Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I watched this movie on Paramount Plus earlier today for Martin Luther King Jr. Day today. And I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed this movie a lot. This movie was actually really amazing. And it's like we don't really get that much Martin Luther King Jr. biopics, but this is the closest thing we got to a Martin Luther King Jr. biopic, Selma. And I think I also remember hearing about this movie when it first came out in like at the end of 2014. And of course I've been hearing really good things about it. And so all the way up until many years later, like earlier today, like after watching it, I think this movie is actually considered to be like one of the best films released in 2014, and I can see how it actually got a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars. It actually got a Best Picture nomination as well as a nomination for Best Original Song, and this movie is basically basically everything, because I loved everything about this movie, and I don't have a single flaw. Like, yeah, because I can't even think of a single flaw that I have with the film, because I think this movie is definitely flawless, and it's like, and it's like and that's one of the things how I really enjoyed this movie a lot. And yeah, and of course there is a Martin Luther King Jr. animated film, which I know a lot of you guys probably watched in elementary school. Our Friend Martin, and of course I did review that film back in 2020, but for this movie was actually great, and it's like amazing, and it's fantastic at the same time, and even and Ava DuVernay's like direction, like I think she actually does a good job directing this film, and David Oyelowo's performance as Martin Luther King Jr. David Oyelowo was actually he was great in this film. Like, he did a splendid job. And Oprah Winfrey was also good in the film too. Like, even her company, Harpo Studios, like Harpo Films, actually has involvement with this film, considering the fact that Oprah Winfrey also worked on the film too. And yeah. And this movie even got like some many awards, like I mentioned before. And yeah, and I gotta say, it's also pretty well paced too. I think the pacing itself is actually really well done too. And I'm almost out of things to say for this review. So the best way I can describe this whole Martin Luther King Jr. biopic film, Selma, I can say it's definitely like a well-made Martin Luther King Jr. biopic that stands out to all of us that know a lot about the lot of excuse me. It's basically like a movie that everyone knows if you're fascinated with, like the civil rights movement of the 60s, and yeah, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But I'm sure a lot of you guys have already know the story behind Martin Luther King Jr. and of course his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And yeah, so overall, Selma was a fantastic, amazing movie, and I'm gonna give Selma 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't seen Selma, then I highly recommend it. It's a good movie to watch on Martin Luther King Jr. Day or Black History Month, because I gotta say this is also a good movie to watch for Black History Month as well. And there you have it, guys. That's gonna be it for my movie review on Selma. And that's going to be it for this video, so make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying, goodbye everybody, and that's about it.